where I go, hi.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another Witch Times Television. I'm Goddess Rhonda, and of course, we have
where I
with
go,
us our
hi.
beautiful Goddess Starr.
Oh, wait, check the mute. I'm hearing back talk.
Okay, let's
Hello,
see.
I meant to check the mute. Oh, mine
Yes,
is not.
we have an echo. Hold on. Times Television. I'm Goddess Rhonda. Okay,
Okay,
there went
mine is
that.
not muted. Yes, mine is muted. Oh, my goodness. I would not want to have another one of those. Okay.
Okay, so here we are. Thank you, of course, for joining us.
Yeah.
For another one of our episodes. This is actually our Witch Times Television Ep.7. I realized that when we changed the name, we were just putting Witch Times Television, and if you wanted to look for an episode, you wouldn't know how to do that. So I've numbered them to help you with that. And yes, I do run on Pagan Standard Time. Unfortunately, I had a client that needed me, and so I needed to,
Yeah.
I needed to take care of him. So anyway, now that that's all done, thank you for your patience. As usual, we like to cast a circle of protection around us. So we're going
Yeah.
to go ahead and do that. It's my lighter. Okay. Bear with me, guys. I tell you, this Uranus and Taurus is good, but it's also kicking my ass. Okay, here we go. All hail, our lords and ladies of the East, our brothers and sisters. Our brother and patron, the sacred element of air, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is, so mote it be.
So it is, and so will it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the South, my brothers and sisters. My brother and patron, the sacred element of fire, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is, so mote it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the West, our brothers and sisters. Our sister and patron, the sacred element of water, namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. We charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face your direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you. So it is, so mote it be.
So it is, and so mote it be. All hail, our lords and ladies of the North, my brothers and sisters, my sister and patron, the sacred element of earth. Namaste. Divine honor, love, joy, peace, and respect to thee. I charge thee, please cause a barrier of protection through all of our walls that face the direction, from corner to corner and end to end. Let peace and protection reign herein. Thank you, and so it is. So mote it be.
So it is, so mote it be. And we now bring down the divine white light from the sacred source of all well being and fill all of our spaces with peace and protection always. So it is, so mote it be. Thank
So
you.
it is, and so mote it be.
All righty, so we've missed you guys. I hope
Yeah.
that all has been well with you. It's so nice to see everyone in the chat room. I see we have a new person as well, Mary Meek. Glad that you could join
Make
us
it.
today. It just reminded me I forgot to text someone a link to the show that wanted to also be new. So I'll do that in a second once we get our conversation started.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that we are going to start off with, and this is something that has fascinated me for a very, very, very long time, is our obsession with stalker songs, because it also reminds me, and I know Goddess Starr has had the clients as well that have a hard time letting go of someone. Someone can break up with them and they do come to me spells and all kinds of things to desperately try to get that person back. But in
Yep.
my eyes, to me, that is psychic stalking. It's still stalking. So
Yeah,
I want to
it
tell
is.
you, in your defense, for those of you who do that, in your defense, I'm not so sure if it's your fault because we as a society are obsessed with obsession songs. And so I wrote down a few examples here just to give you an idea. We're going to go back and forward to show you that this has stood the test
The
of time.
test
Of
of
course, we
time.
all
Pretty.
know I
Oh
put a
my
spell.
goodness! Did we just say the exact same words at the same time?
Did we?
I
Because
said
I'm
the
good
test of
scattering
time. I
away.
said the test of time, and you said it at the same time, and I'm like, we didn't even know that we are gonna say that.
That no, that was not planned. We said that at the same time because I'm just,
Yeah, the test
chattering.
of time.
Well, you know what, guys? I have to have a sip of wine. I'm sorry. It has been one
Yeah,
heck of a day.
girl, like you just saw me sneaking my
So,
sip of
so
wine. I'm just like, I had to.
I'm
I'm
going to go
sorry.
ahead,
I'm just like,
pause for a moment. And everyone, please join me. If you have your witchy wine available,
yep,
by all means,
yep.
drink with
Have a
me.
nice big old sip, bag. I'm telling you, it's been a long week and a half or 2 weeks.
It really has.
And overwhelming and lots of things going on. But here we are. Glad to be here tonight.
All right. So now that I've had that little refresher.
Yes.
So, of course, everybody knows the song I Put a Spell on You. I think that
Yeah.
was from like the 30s. I can't think of what that late Etta James, I believe, saying that. That was a long time ago. Then
Yeah.
we have I have Aretha Franklin. She wrote a song, "Till You Come Back to Me." That's what I'm going to do. Now I know not all of you are old enough to know who Aretha Franklin is and her songs. I am, and I love Aretha regardless of
Me
her
too.
stalker
Me
songs.
too. Yes, 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 I do.
But for those of you who are unfamiliar with that song, so I'm just going to read you some of her lyrics so that you understand what I'm saying. And it says, "Though you don't call me anymore, I sit and wait in vain. I guess I'll rap on your door and tap on your window pane. I want to tell you, baby, the changes I've been going through, missing you, listening to you until you come back to me. That's what I'm going to do." I'm just going to skip ahead here because I don't read the whole thing here. "Although your phone you ignore, somehow I must explain. I'm going to rap on your door. I'm going to tap on your window pane. I'm going to camp on your steps until I get through to you. I've got to change your view, baby. Till you come back to me, that's what I'm going to do." Now, if someone sent me that like in a letter or an email, I'd call the police.
Yeah, you'd
Wouldn't
be
you
like,
call the
oh my
police?
god.
You got to start. Would you call the police? If someone said,
Yeah.
if
I
you're
don't know
going
if I necessarily call that because that's definitely I would consider that stalker-ish because I'd be like wondering, who are you? First of all,
to,
and why are you so clingy and needy? But it's something that I think, unfortunately, it happens to a lot of people, and it's not necessarily like you said earlier, Goddess Rhonda. It's not necessarily off their fault. I think there are so many things, whether it's the songs, there's everyone empathizes with it and say, yes, I know. And they can all relate in the sense and tell you another story of how much they were missing someone else, and it's kind of life changing to a lot of people, in the sense.
it's
Go
one
ahead.
thing to miss someone. Okay, you miss someone, your heart's broken, and you have to grieve. It's another thing when you don't take no for an answer.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to
Yeah.
knock on your window. I mean, you look up, there's somebody knocking at your window, they're knocking at the
I'll be
door,
like, get a life.
they're sitting on the stairs waiting for you to come out because they have to explain everything. This is the mind of someone we want to be a little cautious about because
Yep.
they're flat out telling you. But I say all that to say that was a extremely popular song, as is "I Put a Spell on You." And
Yep.
it's not just, the old, because I know Aretha Franklin is old school. I heard a song by someone named Cardi B, and I guess she's more contemporary. I don't really listen so much to contemporary music. I like the
Me either.
oldies that I
Me
grew
either.
up with.
Yeah.
This new stuff, I can't really get into it too much. But I was listening to Pandora, and one of her songs came on called Be Careful. And this woman, what I liked about her is she like totally keeps it real. She does not care what she's just flats out tells this guy off. Calls him, I gave my heart to a piece of shit, blah blah blah. But she just calls it as she sees it.
Right.
But then the chorus is, "Be careful of me. You don't know
What I may do.
hurting. You don't know you're harming. Be careful of me." And she says, "This isn't a threat. This is like a promise. Be careful of me." And
Wow.
so even though she's not saying I want you back, she's saying I'm going to jack you up
I'm good. Yeah.
because you had the audacity to hurt
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so to me, I still think that's kind of a stalkery song. And then there was Everyone Knows the Song by Sting, I Hope. I'll Be Watching You. Everybody remember that song? I'll be watching.
Yeah.
You remember that song, don't
And
you?
that's a pretty popular lyric and all of that. It makes you go and you all find yourself singing along to it and moving and grooving to it. And in the meantime, the words, I think the problem is that a lot of times we love a song and we sing the words, but we don't really pay
We're
attention
not
to
paying
words and what they really mean.
words.
And if we would really say those things to people, because honestly, I think it takes a certain type. And I think we all know that person. We all know a person like that. We all do. I don't care who we are. We all do, because they're all around us. And it could be us ourselves, depending on who your character and what your character is like. It could be us ourselves. So we all kind of can relate because we know people like that. The thing is, twist it around from I understand how you're feeling to twist it around to if that's really coming at you with those words, and how would you feel in that position?
Well, that's
Wow.
really why are we even connecting with words that are threatening people? And I just think it's a bad, especially for us girls, the young girls listening to that. And they might think it's normal for men to be stalkerish and to act this
And
way.
it's not.
And it's not. It's not normal. I mean, I grew up with these songs. I remember bobbing my head and listening and dancing to them. It wasn't until I was older that I was like, wait, what did he say? And I'm like a stalker magnet. So these songs mean something. So I have a couple more examples, and then I want to hear what you guys in the chat room have to say about if you are obsessed with stalker songs, or if you realize the songs that you like are stalker songs and you connect with them because they are, you just like the beat or the music. We want to hear from you. So I'm sure everyone has heard, well, I shouldn't say everyone, because this is kind of going back into the disco days. I don't know how many people did the disco days. But do you remember the song Obsession? You are an obsession. You're my obsession.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That right there. I mean,
I never paid attention to the words, really. I really never paid attention to it. Wow.
But the chorus was our first clue. I'm obsessed with you is what they're saying. And if you look at the words, some of the words are, I will have you. Yes, I will have you. I will find a way and I will have you. Like a butterfly, a wild butterfly. I will collect and capture you. You protest. Listen to this. You protest. You want to leave. Stay. There's no alternative. Which means this woman is saying, let me get out of here. And he's like, no, you're not leaving. You're staying right here.
It's borderline abusive. Forget stalkerish. It's borderline abusive.
This is an abduction. Here's someone saying, you protest. You want to leave, stay, because there's no alternative. You're not leaving. So there's no point in telling me you want to leave and protesting because you belong to me now. That is really creepy. That's really creepy. But I was out there with everybody else up at the club, dancing and
just hearing and singing to it. You're my obsession, and we just singing and dancing, not realizing words. And I was there up in the club dancing at Webster Hall too.
Exactly.
Dancing up
there, dancing and singing and grooving to the music. And we really don't know what it is. We're not paying attention to what it is. And this could be causing what I think could be even some subconscious
Yeah,
message
the rise
that
in domestic abuse, a lot of it too.
so that it's okay for men to say they just love you so much they're prepared to abduct you and never let you leave.
All women, don't forget, it goes both ways. All women, because there are women that have done that to men. They will
Yes.
not let them leave. They would not let them move on. And it's not just a female thing, it's a male thing as well. It's gone both ways, and it can be destructive, male or female, depending on the length or how of crazy the person gets to. And in a way, you're kind of right, Goddess, because if it's subconsciously, just like anything else, when you go to the movies and the popcorn, and all of a sudden you got to have the popcorn, you don't crave the popcorn outside of the movie theater, but the minute you get near it or in it,
Yeah,
you want to have the popcorn.
you got to have it.
It's a subconscious training of what you have to have. So all the music, all of our relations with everything, even the soap operas, everything is all stalkerish, clingy, the mode of how we are supposed to behave in society. And in a way, it's training our young men and women to do destructive things that they go from normal to the crazy in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
in a
You know,
heartbeat.
we watched that movie by Tyler Perry recently called A Criminy, and everybody is like, she's crazy, she did whatever, and I'm like, no. First of all, I related to a lot of things that she went back to, and what she did or didn't do, but she went from normal to crazy in a heartbeat. That you're like, she's not giving up, and a lot of it is the training of our society, and our belief system. It's kind of like, unfortunately, that the prince and the princess concept of women growing up, and I'm waiting for my Prince Charming to come along and take my life better and make my life better. It's that subconscious training that we're all going through. And if we don't consciously make an effort to remove ourselves from those programmings, it's the reason why I believe there's a lot more higher rates of um, the damage of people that are out there. It's kind of like, if you want to relate it to anything, think of PTSD with the soldiers that come back. But this is like a conscious training all the time. Music, our lifestyle, everything relates to that. So that's kind of, and I did not think about it. So when you sit back and think about it from a mental health capacity and all of that, it's terrifying in a way. It really is. So I'd love to hear what some of them have been saying in the chat room about that, or if they've seen relatable things like that in any way.
I'm just sending this person that I had promised to send the link to, and with my crazy day, I forgot. So let me just paste that in there and send it so that he has it.
And then, you know what's funny? It's all the threats, the threat of harm, the threat of whatever. Um, I'm backing that song that Beyonce did recently. I'm gonna make it more relatable to the young people today. That new song that Beyonce did when her husband cheated on her. Um, she did it in a strong manner, but basically she wasn't being stalkerish, kind of. She was just letting him know, I am not gonna sit back and take you cheating. But all the songs and stuff are relatable to people's lifestyles,
Well, not only
in
that,
one form or another.
not only that,
Huh?
he admits to being a serial cheater. And so, yeah, she is
Yeah.
going to sit back. I hate songs like, well, I'm not going to take you cheating, but I'm still married to you. No, she kind of,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
I'll be honest, my nerves a little bit with this. But anyway, to go back to what
Yeah.
my last example that I want to give you is from a group called Maroon 5. They also, their song came on my Pandora. I had never heard of them because they're more contemporary people, and they made this song called Animals, and I was listening to it because I like the chorus, just like animals. And then I started listening to it, and the chorus is, baby, I'm preying on you tonight, hunt you down, eat you alive, just like animals. Maybe you think you can hide, but I can smell your scent for miles, just like animals, which I thought was really disgusting, that he's smelling somebody's scent for miles. Like, what? And so he's basic. I mean, these, and this is also another very popular song. So we would like to hear from you
Actually,
people in the chat room
it
about.
wasn't so much disgusting what he was saying. It wasn't so much disgusting with the wordings, but he's relating it in the sense to how animals consent even after they've long gone. Animals had, because of their nose is so finely trained, they could smell anything. It's not so much as saying that person has a scent or whatever it is. And to some people they do. Humans do. They don't need to be animals. Humans have a scent. Human has whatever it is that similar to animals in the sense of what they go after and they do. But it just means that that's how close they are to you, that they're willing to be that close and stay there right on you all the time until you give in, kind of a thing.
Mhm.
That's scary. Like hunt you like a wolf. I'm going to hunt you down like a wolf and I'm going to sniff you out. Think in terms of that. And wow.
I still think it's
A lot of
disgusting.
it's very scary. Yeah. It is. It is.
I do. So
Yeah.
let's take a look and see what our chat family has to say about this.
They've been talking up a storm
I
tonight.
see you guys are
They're
talking
awesome. As usual, they're awesome.
storm. Oh, I remember that song. Jasmine Moonglow brought up Jenny. 8675309. I remember that song.
Yes, yes. Is that what it? Yeah, I like that song.
I did too.
Oh my gosh, that's a stalker song.
That's
I
I
never listened to the words. I really need to start looking at the words of a lot of these songs.
it because I have to like what I used to sing that song all the time when it came on the
Now
radio.
it kind of turns you off of all of these songs because you're sitting there going, I am not that stalker. And it's a shame because you're like, but I love the words. And not the words, I love the music. Such a shame.
And Tamu, thank you for saying I look like the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Cheers to that.
You do. I did not even think of that, but you do, right? Doesn't she?
I wish I had
She
her
kind of looks like her.
bank account, but I'll take her looks. I'm good with that. Okay, so we've got Jasmine Moonglow says, "Till you come back to me." Never thought it was a stalker song. I love Aretha too. I'll be watching you by the police. That was really scary. That was, if you even looked at that video, it was scary. Let's see. J.K., I've had that happen to me before and had to file a couple of orders. It is creepy. Yes, it is creepy. And Tamu says Aretha does make stalkerish sound good. She does. I love Aretha Franklin. I do.
Me too.
I just love her.
That woman just has some pipes on her that make you want to be right in front of her and go with it.
They don't make them like her anymore. That she's like
No, she can literally say, I'm going to kill you right now, and we're all going,
and get a Grammy award for it. Did you get a Grammy?
yes. And we are all going to be going and singing, I'm going to kill you right now.
Right now. Got my knife right here. And she'd get a Grammy for that. We'd be all singing it like
Yes. And we would be like, yay!
But actually, Tamu brings up a very good point where she says music can cast spells, and it can. And if you think about it, we're up in the club, we're drinking, so we already have our defenses down. Meant it means our subconscious is susceptible. And we're drinking and we're dancing and we're listening to the beat, and the beat has us mesmerized because we're moving to the beat. And then here come these words. And these words can imprint on us and make us think it is. Music is a form of spell casting. And so if you think about it, these words can be casting a spell on you, and you don't even know it, what's going on, until you really stop. And that's why I think it's important. Me and my sister both do this now. If we're listening to a song that's not an oldie that we know that's something new, we pay attention. I remember that song. I don't remember who made it. Do you remember that song, Peaches and Cream? Peaches and Cream, something, you know what I mean? I can't remember how it goes. But it was this really big, it was like in the early 2000s. Peaches and Cream. I don't remember who made it, but I remember I would always, bob my head to it. One day I was sitting at my desk and I was singing, Peaches and Cream, blah, 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 blah. And one of my coworkers said, "Did you ever listen to that song?" And I was like, "Yeah, I listened to it on some shows." Did you ever listen?
Listen to it? Oh, wow.
And I'm not, well, I guess not, you know. So the next time it came on, I really listened. I had no idea that song was about oral sex. Zippo. I had no idea how
Whoa,
explicit it was. I had no idea. You know, I'd be sitting there
wow.
singing, and I was literally shocked that it was a song about oral sex, and it was a very explicit song about oral sex. And I just,
You must have been turning red. You must have been
I was
turning red with
so embarrassed. Okay, I'm just going to give you some of these
but it's the
lyrics here.
reason why there's a lot of songs that are written by a lot of young artists these days that turns me so off so much. I think it's because the kids are blaring their songs as they drive in their car, and you're listening to their blaring sounds, and you're listening to the words, and you're like, oh, how disgusting. The way that they speak about females and what they're going to do, and it's just disgusting. It makes you want to throw up,
Well,
but we are listening to the words of theirs, and we are listening to our oldies songs words, you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, I mean, I was listening to this and I was just like, especially when they say, you know, wait, where is it? Ladies, if you're oh, where is it? Hold, just bear with me. Give me a second so I can find it here. Now, of course, I can't find it. Um, oh, here it is. So they were saying the ladies in the house, if your peach is the shit, your peach being your vajayjay, put your hands in the air. It represents your clit. I was like, what did he just say?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? He wants to want to have sex, want to ride with you, want to taste you, put my lips on you. And I'm singing this song, you know, and I've got like, even with my niece and nephew in the car, I'm singing, yeah, peaches and
Oh my god.
and I was so embarrassed when I realized I'd sang this song in front of my nieces and nephews, my little nieces and nephews. I was like dying 1,000 deaths. So, you know, it is important because now when my sister became a mom, then she started listening. She wants to hear, of course, what her children were listening to. But I was just going on, you know, oh yeah, peaches and cream, da, da, da. And so I think it is important that we listen to because I think you're right. We're not paying attention. But anyway, let's go back to our chat room because I want to see what you guys have to say. Okay, we talked about Aretha. J. Key says music chanting is probably one of the best ways to cast. Lots of power. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
In which everyone agrees. Oh, I remember Stevie Nicks. Is that a stalker song? Stand back, stand back. Is that a stalker song too?
I don't know.
We go J. Key Brothers. It has to be because we're gonna have to look that up, J. Key.
Yeah.
But she's right. Tamu says these songs entrain the subconscious.
Yeah.
And they
Trance. There's a lot of thought transference going on. So that's one of the clairs, you know, like the clairaudience, clairsentience. It's one of the clairs. I forgot which one, but yeah, there's a lot of thought transference and a lot of spell casting. You're right, a lot of magic and a lot of spell casting because we become very different beings when we are dancing or when we hear music.
Yes,
we become and we trance out and we kind of, go there. And sometimes you open up your eyes and there's this person in front of you like, oh, where did you come from? You didn't even realize they were there because all this time you had your eyes closed and you tranced out, and you're just enjoying the music and being there and moving your body.
right.
It makes you dance and do moves that you wouldn't even sometimes envision yourself doing, but you did it because you're in that trance and in that mode and everything, It's what it takes you there. It does cast a spell.
It does, but you know what else is? Music also brings a certain, I think, freedom.
Yes.
If you listen to, like, I don't listen to much rap music. When I was growing up, the rap music was the Sugar Hill Gang, hip hop, hibbity hibbity hop hop, and popcorn and stuff like that. It was very silly. But now it's really like very sexual,
and very degrading to females.
Very degrading to us.
Very degrading to females. And I'm just like, I cannot listen to it. I cannot. And that shows probably our age. I don't know if that shows our age, but it seems to be very acceptable with young people, but whether it shows my age or not, I really don't care because the words are just absolutely disgusting.
Words are
Forget it's whatever. It's just straight up disgusting. And putting women in such a light that you're like, how could women even dance to this? You're like, are you listening to what these men are saying about you and making you do?
Yes.
Your 15 minutes of fame, is that worth it?
To take it low and raise your butt in the air and do us while they're just standing there? I don't think so. You need to get on your knees and show me what you can do first.
Yeah, I'm like, drop your pants. Let me see what you got with working with. Are you kidding? Imagine if we were saying that, you know, they would not be liking that much.
No, they would not,
because that's what I require.
Okay, Goddess Starr has almost finished her glass of wine. She's so let's all try to catch up. Everybody stop for a moment.
Okay, I will fill it up again. That way you would think it's like an object of illusion.
But
you know, or you're like the never-ending glass.
You know what?
The never-ending glass of illusion.
Okay, you know what? First, let me just explain.
We're tired, yeah.
We've had one hell of a ride for the past. We've had all kinds of technological issues with our stuff and all kinds of stuff, and battles galore, and helping people. And so, if we drink a little too much and get a little tipsy today, we ask your indulgence, and we also ask that you join us.
Yes, in that indulgence, yeah.
But what I realized is that music does have an even stronger effect than we realize, because when you listen to today's rap music, if you notice, the rappers are always bragging. I've got millions and millions of dollars. I've got 20 million girls who want to be with me. I have all the best cars. I have the best houses. I have the best of everything. I have this and I have that. You wish you had it. A lot of it is about bragging. And, you know, we were brought up and taught it's not nice to brag. You're not supposed to be all about you and say all the stuff that you have. You're supposed to show some humility. But for that 3 or 4 minutes of that song, we get to engage and brag too. We get into that energy. I'm trying to think of a good song that would be a good example. I can't, of course, my mind goes blank at the moment. But
yeah, I don't know any.
About, you know, I have this and I have that and I'm wonderful and you don't have all these things and I've got all these records and I've got this and I'm going platinum. And when we're listening to that, we get to brag too. For that one moment, we get to engage in that energy that says, yeah, I'm the shit. I'm perfect. I'm wonderful. I have it like that because I am who I am. And you wish you were like me. Just for that 3 minutes, we get into what they're saying. Like, I like Black Eyed Peas, the Black Eyed Peas group. And Fergie, she does her little Fergalicious where she's this and all the boys want to eat it and all the boys want this and they slide up down the block because I make them all hard. I mean, she's very explicit, but anyway.
Okay.
For that 3-4 minutes that I'm singing with her, that's me with all the guys lining up on the block wishing they could get with me. We actually take on the energy of
and
that.
The persona, yeah, we do.
We do. We take it on. And who knows what kind of lingering energetic effect that has on us.
It changes your personalities too.
It changes your person. Yes, even if it's just for that 5 minutes when you're bopping to it on the way home. For 5 minutes, you're somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's actually a little scary too.
Yeah, because you become a little bit more what's the word? You know, it's a simple thing. It's just a simple word about your what is the word? You know what I mean? Where you completely lose who you are and you become that other person and you just open up more to things that you were not meant to do or not normally would be willing to do. For some reason, the word name I didn't hear you.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't. For some reason, you blanked out for a minute. Yeah, I forgot the word. It's really simple, but it just skipped my tongue. But, you know, you lose a lot of yourself there. Or maybe, as some people would say, you become more of who you really are. because for just that minute you do lose that part of you where your fear of showing I could dance, or your fear of whatever it is, and you get out there and you start moving, and you're like, this is the other me, this is that other me that can be entrancing to you, or like you said, line up around the block and you will wish, but you cannot, kind of a thing.
Right.
We just kind of lose that for a minute, or maybe it's to some people not lose but gain that other aspect of you, and maybe it's all different aspects of ourselves,
Well, I think,
that we don't show to everyone.
and maybe that's what it is. Maybe for the few minutes that we hear that song and we're engaging it, maybe that is a release of something we've been feeling.
Yeah, all along, it's all part of us.
That's all part of
Yeah.
us. Everyone's had their heart broken. I can honestly say I'm usually grateful when I break up with someone because I can't stand them anyway, and if I never see them again, it'll be soon. So I'm not, I don't really fully understand feeling that way because I've never been dumped. I'm always the dumper because people get on my nerves really quick. And so I don't really understand the stalker. I don't understand feeling
Like
stalker,
that. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I have had a lot of stalkers because of my attitude. So I can understand
Yeah.
the other side of it. So let's talk about some more with, because I want to try and do all of our topics. I spent a lot of time making up topics. I'm going to share these with you, Goddess Starr. But in the meantime, let's see. We've got Tamu says Misery, or The Astronaut. Misery was a great movie. That was really scary. I know you saw Misery, Goddess Starr, because you've seen.
I didn't. Oh my God, I did not like that movie at all.
Oh, that was scary.
I
Um,
didn't. Yeah, that is a scary ass movie. And you know what? The fact that there are people like that is what scares the frick out of you. I can't. I can't.
um, or she goes on to say the astronaut. I remember this story. The female astronaut, she put on diapers to drive across country because she was obsessed with this man. So she put on her spacesuit, she could go to the bathroom, so she could keep driving across country without stopping, so that she could get
Oh
to the.
my God.
And I think she got picked up on the way, and they're like, "Why are you wearing an astronaut suit?" And
What's wrong with people? And she's an astronaut,
she's a
brilliant person, and
brilliant.
I think that's the problem. We cannot relate when you're someone, or because you and I are very alike in certain temperaments and personality way. So to us, it's very hard to relate to that type of personality, because to me, done is done, and moving on is moving on.
Yeah.
Even if I'm dumping or not dumping, I really don't care, because at that point I'm like, then if you weren't necessary in my life.
Right. If you're
Simple as that. You were not necessary in my life, and it's just like I don't even go through necessarily a ritual. I think in my head I do the ritual of like bye-bye. And I just move on and I never think about it. And maybe in some ways people do accuse us, or me, of being cold because we could move on so easily because we're so busy. I think it's because we are so busy and overwhelmed with everything that we're doing that we really don't have the time to. Our grieving process is like 5.
Yeah, I don't have time to stalk anybody.
Our grieving process of in between whatever relationship is like 5 minutes, and people are like, look, like whiplash. People are like, wait a minute, that was it.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Like,
And you're sitting there going, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the time to go through that full.
and especially, you know what, as spiritual people, when we know that if our time, we come together with people for a reason, for a time in our lives, and then when it's time for us to part at the fork in the road, we wish you well, good luck,
Yep,
peace
yep,
out.
move on. It's been real.
So look at it from a spiritual
Yeah,
standpoint as well, that okay, our time with this person was up, and that's
yeah.
that.
And I had
Now,
to learn something from you, and now I did. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
thank you, bye-bye, good luck, and peace out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we kind of do that quick mental breakdown in our heads, and like with whiplash, the person sitting there going, "That was it." After all this time, that was. And you're sitting there
Exactly.
going, "Well, what did you expect me to do? Sit here and get depressed and whine?" And that's
Yeah.
not me. I'm
That's not
sorry.
sorry.
It's not my mode of it's not my modus operandi, as people would say, you know. That's not my personality. Everybody's personality is very different. I think part of it is we don't allow ourselves to become so enraptured by one other person because we are such our own people that it's very difficult to become so enwrapped with another person. They either have to be part of our life in a symbiotic fashion, because if they become too much of the overwhelming, we're like, okay, I just can't. I don't have the time for that because it's just not enough personalities. So you either have to be one or the other, kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
or somewhere in between.
And I
But
remember being really upset with that astronaut. I was like, you know what? It was so hard to have a female astronaut. And what do?
yeah,
You
yeah,
put
like
on your astronaut suit and drive across country to go and stalk some man. And then you didn't even have the sense to make up a story when you got pulled over. You could have said anything. You could
yeah.
have said, well, you know what? I find this astronaut suit so comfortable that, I like to glide
Lie through your teeth.
lie through your teeth. Don't say, well, I'm obsessed with this guy and I put this on so I wouldn't have to pee on the way or whatever.
Pathetic. That's so
But
pathetic.
you're
I'm
a brilliant
sorry.
woman. You couldn't come up with a better story. You could have said anything.
Anything. I don't care.
Anything.
You
You're so
gotta make yourself
comfortable.
the part of, you know what it is? People don't get it. Fake it till you make it, or
Yeah.
lie through your teeth to cover your ass. But to the public view,
And you know what? Here's a tip.
you're a female. Stand tall.
If you're a criminal and you are on your way to commit a crime and the police pull you over, don't tell them what you're going to do. Don't say, well, the reason I put this on was because I wanted to go and stalk this man and stab him to death. So I figured I'd put this on and I wouldn't have to stop and I could do it more quickly. That's not the words to say. She could have said anything. She could have said, I'm in space with this and it's so comfortable that I found that I like driving in it. It's nice and
Yes.
snug. And I was
Sexy.
just going to go and visit one of my girlfriends and it's a long ride. And, I just needed to be comfortable. She could have said anything, but what does she do? She tells everything. Then there's this big deal. I'm like, now, whenever they go to look at a female astronaut potential, they're going to think, oh, well, how do
What
we know?
was her name?
She can't. We can look her up.
Okay, because there's a female astronaut on a stamp right now at the post office, Sally something. I really hope that's not her, because I'd be very embarrassed. It's just, come on, women, whether it's male or female, we all need to start doing something a little bit different in terms of how we relate to ourselves and people around us. Just saying, I'm sorry.
Was Lisa Marie Nowak.
Okay. So it's not Sally. Oh, thank the goddess.
No, thank goodness. You did make a good point. You made a good point that men are equally.
Yeah, they are.
My next door neighbor, when I was growing up, my next door neighbor, he's a big guy. He was like 6'3", and I mean, he was big. He was a big dude, very well built, really broad shoulders. He had a girlfriend who was not even 5 feet tall. He broke up with her. She made his life miserable. Well, we used to have in the olden days, we had metal garbage cans that we would set out. So now they have big plastic ones. But we used to have metal garbage cans. He had this sports car, this little 2-seater, really cool sports car.
Oh no.
He came over, took the metal garbage can and literally just beat all kinds of dents into that car. She hit him with a lamp. She took a lamp and hit him upside the head with it. And he said, I can't fight back because who are the police going to believe?
Yeah.
She's a 5-foot-tall woman. She can start crying and say, I attacked her. So he never fought back. He didn't know what to do. He was too embarrassed to call the police because they're going to be like, you can't handle this little chick. But he didn't want to go to jail or get in trouble. So men can actually get into even deeper trouble because their thoughts are, who's going to believe them?
Who's going to help them? Who's going to take them seriously? In some ways, it's either very similar or worse for the males because
I think so.
Usually it's these big guys or these strong guys, and they've got this diminutive person that's just horribly destructive in their lives They don't want them to move on. Their attitude, and this comes from both male and females. Their attitudes are, if I cannot have you, no one else can. That usually means death to whoever the other person is.
Right.
Usually that kind of comes close to what it is, with the situation. And that's kind of sad that you cannot move on, or if anything, reach out for help in some way. There are groups for just about everything these days. Find a group and or reach out counselor wise and get some help to move on, because it is not um uh it's not a very appealing thing to watch a clingy female or male that won't let go, that's just stalkering you and will not take no for an answer. It's
Hmm.
scary. It's not appealing. Whatever feeling that person had for you before is now hateful, because they're like, oh, they're so turned off and find it distasteful. It's worse than before. So what good are you to anyone and yourself? You got to move on. This is why I guess in a way our attitudes may not be what people find appealing, in the sense of they can get whiplash with how fast we get over it and move.
Yeah.
It's funny in a way, but I never thought of it as being like that. But in a way, we do. But there are personalities like us that do that, because I think part of it is that we are very extremely rational, if that makes sense. We're very rational. We kind of weigh the pros and cons. We're like, this was really not working. So, it's better for so and so and so. It's been real. Thank you. I learned something. I always feel like I learned something from every relationship, whether it's male or female friendship, lover relationship, whatever. I learned something. Um, and I will even probably tell that person, this is what I learned from you, good, bad, or indifferent. I appreciate that I learned that. And I
Right.
learned that lesson for a reason. And I thank you so much. Now it's been real. Goodbye. You see, I think that's the part that they don't like, that we kind of take it into context like that and we break it down for them and then say goodbye. And we've moved on, literally, in our heads, our minds, our bodies. And they're still standing there like with whiplash going, what the hell? What just happened?
Well, it's also like I have explained, because I've had women ask me, how come you're so cold and detached? I've had
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
so
it's not cold and detached.
cold and detached, but you know what? Maybe I am. And I'll tell them the same thing, is that with the job that I do, I listen to every kind of challenge and problem, abuse, heartbreak, death,
Yeah,
whatever. I listen to emotional stuff all day long. If I was an emotional person, I would never be able to do this job. I
yeah.
wouldn't.
I think that's it. Maybe that's part of it, because
I
we
would.
are
I
we are
wouldn't be able to get
we
things
do we
done.
deal with so much. How can we help other people if we ourselves can't learn to deal with those things ourselves and move on? Because
It,
as we're helping that person, we are helping them, we are kind of going, this is what I would have done.
and it could, if I was an emotional person, I would probably have had a nervous breakdown by now.
Yep. Yep.
Because I have to listen. It's my job to listen and let you get your emotions out and be the voice of reason to bring you back, to ground you back and get you to see things more clearly. I can't do that if we're both sitting there crying. If you start crying and then I start crying and we're both crying, and I'm like, oh, poor you, and I'm so sorry. No, but we're not getting anything done.
That's not helping. Yeah, you're not helping.
Has to be objective. And
Yeah.
so I feel that the universe made me this way so that I am able to
Yeah.
handle all of the nightmarish scenarios that I listen to every
Yeah.
single day
Single
and still be
day. Yeah.
able to sleep at night and focus on my life and get things done, because if not, I would be neurotic too.
Yeah.
And how can I be of service? So I think the universe set me up this way so that I can do this work.
And listening to people say to us almost on a daily basis, but I know for a fact this person is the right person for me. So I need you to help me cast a spell and do whatever to make sure that person, and no matter how rational, again, here we are, rational and explaining to them situations. And I've even gone into the whole role playing of turn it around and how would you feel if that person was coming at you in that way? And they sound like they understand, but you're looking them directly in the face and they don't.
No,
They're
they
not
don't.
really, they're just not seeing it because they're so on that, no, that person belongs to me. that they're not listening. They're not there. They're not rational like that.
No,
And
they don't
that's hard for us to relate to at all, because we're too rational in a sense. And maybe you're right. The universe made us that way to be able to relate to people and still be
and be
that voice.
and still
Yeah.
remain sane.
And still remain sane, because honestly, it's overwhelming. It would put you in the, the crazy house if you allow a lot of it to become part of you. And because we're empathic or sympathic, whatever it is, or whatever part of the class that you are with whatever the audience or tangency or whatever it is, it's we have to be able to stand back and be that voice of reason and look at the object of whatever it is, even for our lives. And we do the same thing with our lives. We have a tendency to look at the relationship and take it apart and put it there and go pros, cons, and kind of go, don't need it. Thank you. It's been real.
Exactly.
Whiplash to a lot of people. But
okay.
It works.
It does work. And, I see that our lovely chat family, they do.
Okay, what are they saying?
Agree with us. I'm just going to read some of them because we want to move on to the next thingy here. 112 says peaches and cream. Thank you very much. Hold on, bear with me because I'm scrolling to find where I left off. Bear with me. Okay, I remember this. Judy loves Aretha. Yes, we all do. And George Michael. I love George Michael too. I love his music. Okay, let's see. Even though he was a real dog, I mean, wow.
He was. See, I don't know. I pay attention to
he was on an interview.
I honestly do not.
And he was talking about how he cheats on his boyfriend all the time. I mean, he's on TV telling him, like, I hope his boyfriend knows. I'm like, well, I hope this isn't going to be a big surprise because that's a nasty thing to find out that you're being cheated on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. That's their business. Okay, so then we've got Judy who says, check out the lyrics to back that thing up. Okay.
That doesn't, the name alone just doesn't sound right.
I know. The name
alone just makes you kind of go, no.
Okay, and then we've got, let's see, bear with me, guys. Yes, Lightning Fury, you can absolutely be empathically overwhelmed. And J.K. also mentions alter ego, like when you're hearing something else. Even Beyonce has an alter ego. I guess she doesn't have the confidence as Beyonce, so her alter ego is Sasha Fierce. She even made an album, and when she gets on stage, she's Sasha Fierce, which I've never understood because she's so talented. And if you know that you are deliberately adopting an alter ego to get out there, why can't you just get out there? That I've never understood that, but what do I know? So anyway, moving on.
Yeah, a lot of actors and actresses do that.
And then
because a lot of them are very shy.
They're very shy, and so they have alter egos.
Yep.
If you know that it's your alter ego, I don't understand why you can't just be yourself. Like, I don't know. It's just, and I'm not saying that I don't have sympathy or I'm making fun of them. Not at all. I understand we all have our coping skills. I just have a hard time understanding. It's like if I decided, to do the show that I'm not really right now talking to you as Goddess Rhonda, I'm really Empress, Starr, Goddess of the universe, because that's the alter ego I needed to talk to you with, but I'm still here talking to you. So I don't understand why you have to adopt an alter ego when you're getting out there anyway. That's
because we're not, you know what it is? We're not entirely a shy people. We're not.
At all.
So we don't need that alter ego. Whereas the majority of actors and actresses, they need that because a lot of them, 90% of them are shy, introverted people when they're themselves. Nicole Kidman is a perfect example of that. That's why she plays so many roles, because she does not know how to even play herself.
Wow,
she takes on all the alter ego. Yeah.
That's
she scary. Pretty much, and she says that she's such an introvert and very shy. She as Nicole Kidman, but she's so good at adapting to all these roles because she can't wait. She craves being someone else, that other person.
Exactly. And then we've got Jasmine who says 9 Inch Nails Closer is just as bad, if not worse, than Maroon 5's Animal. 9 Inch Closer. That's a deep song. I know that song. I want to fuck you like an animal. That's the chorus. So I want to fuck you like an animal.
Okay, alrighty then.
I want to feel you from
Yeah,
the
I
inside.
can't listen to songs like that. The minute I hear the words, I can't sing. I can't listen to songs like that.
But yes, I do. I remember that song. And so there was before we move on to the next topic, I'm giggling. It's really probably not funny, but it just struck me um, as funny. Raven says, I watched a documentary about the 80s, and this lady said her number was 8675309, and she kept getting calls from random men. Because know that song, 8675309. I wonder if that group ever thought, you know what, that might be somebody's real phone number.
I
And
don't
so
think they cared.
was getting 5 million messages.
But you know, the thing is, you gotta kind of wonder. I hear the song. It never occurred number. It never occurred to me that it was a real number. For someone to be calling that number, you gotta wonder about their mindset in the first place. Their asses are crazy. Why would you want to call a number that's being sang? It does not make sense in my head. You didn't think to call it. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I hear, because you know, you're just hearing the number, it would never occur to me. Yeah, just pick up the phone and let's just dial that number. Really?
Yeah, really. I would expect that of a child. I would not expect.
It would never occur to me that it's a real number. First of dial that number.
No, you know,
So for them to do that, I'm sorry. There's something lost somewhere in the screw there. Some screw there for you to be doing that.
Okay, so we've also got, and we'll end with this comment before we move on to our next topic. We have Jasmine Moonglow, who says, wow, when Beyonce is a Virgo, I could see if she was a Gemini or a Pisces, that duality. I'm a Pisces, and it's really not so much your sun sign, it's your moon sign, how you think. I have a Capricorn moon, which is Earth. That means I think like a Capricorn. So that's why it's like everything has to make sense. Everything needs to be logical, or I can't get it. If it's not, there's no logic to it. Everything has to be logical and rational. Which
See,
is
I'm like that.
type of.
Yeah, I'm very logic. I don't know what my rising is. I have to really do that sometime. But I'm extremely, everything has to be logical for me, or I can't get into it. I can't relate, which is why being a witch is so important to me and is so makes sense to me because it's logical.
It's logical.
Everything has to be logical to me. So I don't understand or comprehend things that are illogical in my head. I'm like, you know, that's like when robots would say everything has to be logical. We're very robotic in that sense and think that way. So it's the reason why we are where we are and who we are. You know?
Exactly. When I was growing up, I loved Star Trek, and everyone had a crush on Captain Kirk. I had the biggest crush on Mr. Spock.
I know, right?
Everything was logic. He wasn't even trying to hear emotions or feelings.
Yeah. He's like, I really don't care. Okay?
I was badly in love with him. Even as a child, I loved logic. But anyway, because we're trying to get our actual show topics covered. I think we've beaten that one up enough. Let's move on to our next one about, do we ignore our intuition?
Oh boy.
So why? Now let's talk about that for a minute, because it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Stalker songs. You know, we should have all kinds of red flags going off when we listen to these kinds of songs, but we don't. And I know, I'm sure you have also, Goddess Starr, have had clients who knew something was wrong with the person they were going out with. They knew something was off, or they felt something was off, or there were red flags, but then they ignored it. They just ignored it. And I watch, I've told all you guys before, I'm a huge Discovery ID addict. I love these crime shows. I know I shouldn't watch them as a single woman, but I can't help it, and I watch them. And I was watching this one. It's called See No Evil, and what it's about is they find their criminals by following the victims on cameras as they go down the block in stores and banks and things so that they can track who was following her or whatever was going on, where they went, blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, there was this little rural town, and this woman came and she was visiting her mother and her sister. And she said, I'm going to run to Jack's to get some gas. Jack's was their local gas station. So she goes to Jack's and they were waiting for her. And she calls up and she says, somebody's chasing me. I don't know what to do. And then the phone went dead. So her mother and her sister jumped in the car. This town, there's only one road in and out of the town. This is how small this town is. So they go looking for her and they find her car that had been run off the road. And there's no sign of her. And so, of course, they call the police. And so the police went to Jack's to follow, to see if they could see where she was going. And you know how you get, like, the mother's like, you have this eerie feeling and you just want to tell, I guess you want to say, look, don't go out or don't do something like this. But you're like, oh, the person's going to be fine. The person will be fine. And it turns out that they're not fine. And then you're like, I wish I had said something. I wish I had just said, oh, don't go to the gas station. But you feel stupid saying don't go to the gas station because it's like, this is like a tiny, tiny, tiny town. And then there was a very similar one. This one was really creepy. This one creeped me out. And I'm like, are you people that, I don't want to say that I think you're just so inside of yourself, you're not paying attention. And this is a guy, he was he was an air traffic controller. That's what it was. And he was in like Nebraska or someplace. And his family all wanted to go to Florida. Everybody was gravitating to Florida, his mom, his sister, everybody. So he took a transfer to go to Florida. And he had a friend at this place named Gene. And he's like, no, his name was Bob. He's like, okay, Bob, it was fun hanging out with you, but I'm heading over to Florida. And so Bob's like, okay, well, good luck, blah, 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 blah. Well, one day he's working in Florida. He looks up and there's Bob. And Bob's like, well, I got to thinking Nebraska's cold and Florida's nice and I already know you. I figured I'd take a chance and I'd come down there too. So Gene was like, okay, whatever. And so Gene falls in love with this girl at the job and the two of them get engaged and eventually get married. And Bob, I'm cutting a lot of the story out because I don't want to take up all of the time. Bob goes to their house. He says, I've got to come over and I've got to give you your housewarming gift tonight. It's got to be tonight. And they're like, well, okay. They just wanted to get rid of him and hurry up because they felt like he was a little strange, but they'd always say, oh, that's just Bob. Oh, that's just Bob. He's just a little weird. Oh, that's just Bob. Well, Bob gives them as their gift, he gives them a photo album and it has pictures. They had built a house. So it shows how, first the vacant land and then the progress of the building and then the building's finally done. So he gave them like this photo album of the creation of their home. And the wife was looking at it and she said, you know what? There's furniture in these last pictures. That means after the house was built and they moved in, he was still snapping pictures. Now, at that point, I would have been like, okay, you know what? That's not cool. You take
something's wrong here.
Something is wrong here. But what did they say? Oh, that's just Bob. He's just weird. That's just Bob. Well, the wife had to run out. She said, I got to run down to run an errand. And she goes, I'll be right back. And they're like, okay. Well, she comes back and she sees there's blood everywhere. All of her husband's clothes are under the Christmas tree. His underwear, everything is under the Christmas tree. She's looking around. She can't understand what's going on. And she sees this piece of paper and she picks it up. And it's a love letter from Bob to Gene saying, I've never been in love with a man before until I met you. And I'm not leaving here till I taste your manhood. And he literally, while the wife was gone, raped this dude, shot him in the head, dragged him out to his own house. I mean, it was just like, and I'm like, when you guys were all this time saying, oh, Bob's just like weird, didn't you notice? How could you just pass things off like that? He shows up at your door. He wanted to buy Gene's house when they were building it. He said, I'll buy your house. I mean, he was always there. And they're like, oh, Bob, it's just Bob. He's just weird. Until Bob killed Gene and then killed himself after raping this man. And so I'm wondering, why do we ignore our intuition when we know that something is wrong? And not just with guys, it could be an intuition on your job where you realize, you know what, something's wrong. Maybe I should look for a new job. And then you don't. And then a month later, you end up losing your job. even though the universe gave you a heads up. Or in a relationship, it could be with anything. Why don't we pay attention to the signs that the universe gives us? And why do you think that is, Goddess Starr?
I think it's because most of the time we have a tendency to second guess. There's a lot of second guessing and doubting of our intuition. And it's funny in general across the board, especially because a lot of people do not believe in intuition. A lot of people don't believe in signs from the universe. They're not witches. Most of them are Christians or of the norm. But even among witches, they ignore shit. You know, they ignore a lot of the things that are coming at them because, again, with witches or people of the magical parts, they have a tendency to doubt what they're seeing and hearing. So imagine that's threefold and tenfold with people who are not of the magical aspect. They really, truly do not see or want to listen to them because they're like, no, you're wrong. I am logically this person that knows best and I can judge things myself. And they literally bat it aside. And that's a shame because a lot of times later on, if they survive whatever it is, they'd say, you know, I had seen or I had thought something. Why did I not follow through with it? Because I find myself, for whatever reason, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I have a way of taking home every day. And every now and then, for whatever reason, I would say, let's go the other way. I don't know why. Nothing that I know of happened, but I don't know why. But I would say, and my son would go, why? We always go. I said, because I feel like it. I want to go this way. And I listen to everything now that my intuition tells me. I try to go by it, don't ignore it or whatever. For whatever reason, I literally we took a step towards going the regular way. And I said, nope, I'm going to go this way. And he's like, what? I said, because I want to get something over here. Because my son is very argumentative sometimes. So that was my way of just, no, I have to get something over here. And we walked the other way. For whatever reason, I'm following it. I don't know why. And that only happens every now and then. Not very often.
I do the same thing when I'm driving. Like I'll usually take a route and all of a sudden, unconsciously, I'll turn and take it. Like, why am I going this way? This is the way I used to go. You know what? This must be the way the universe wants me to go. Maybe I avoided an accident. I mean, any kind of thing. You know, if it's a long way around, I don't care. I've learned the universe typically knows what they're talking about.
You know what another way is when you're driving, if for whatever reason, say for instance, the OnStar or whatever that is telling you to go this way, and you're going, well, I know the way around here, I'll just go this way. And for whatever reason, and then later on you found out so-and-so accident happened or whatever it is. Especially when it comes to, I have a feeling that a lot of times, listen to why is it that all of a sudden you want to go this other way and you were going to go that way, but now you want to go this way. Listen, for whatever reason, I think people should listen to themselves more. Don't second guess it. Because to me, if all of a sudden this strange thought comes to you, why would you second guess that strange thought? Exactly. For whatever reason it came to you, out of the blue, there has to be something to this.
Exactly.
So follow it. Maybe nothing happened, but for whatever reason, you were meant to go this way. And maybe nothing happened to them that were there, but had you gone that way, something may have happened.
And if you get a feeling about a person, you know, sometimes you'll get a feeling like, I don't know if I like this person. But then you may have a mutual friend who says, oh, I know her. She's so nice. She's wonderful. She's fabulous. And then you might say, oh, well, maybe I should give her a second chance. No, you shouldn't. Just because she or he is nice to that person, if your intuition says, do not engage with this person, don't engage that person. Because I can count a million times on how many people have said, you know, I saw the red flags. And I just discounted because I really like this person or whatever it is. They're red flags for a reason. And so you do want to pay attention. You also want to pay attention when sometimes the universe will use other people to get to your attention. You know, Goddess Starr and I talk about this. We're really, really busy. I am so behind on so much of my work. I'm doing the best I can. I'm one person, but I'm overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do. So my mind is almost always on business and doing my
Yeah.
task sheet and trying to do all my stuff. So sometimes things can go right by me, and I'm not going to pay attention because I'm caught up
Busy.
in other stuff or a project that I need to do, or I'm putting out a fire, I'm doing something, and I may not be paying attention. And so I felt, before I moved to my little cottage here, to be fair to myself, I did feel unsafe in my old apartment. I just felt very unsafe there. And that was one of the things that prompted me to move. But now that I'm out here in the country, I've been feeling, pretty confident. I've got an alarm. I'm surrounded by houses with pit bulls, and, dogs are early warning system. They don't have to be your dog. If a
Yep.
stranger comes
Yep.
in, the dogs are gonna start barking. So, I actually felt comfortable, and I got complacent living here until about 2 weeks ago. One of my clients, do I have the thing here with me? I probably don't have it over here. I'm too lazy to get up to get it. I'll get up when Goddess Starr starts talking. But this guy, one of my clients, came in and he said, I Spirit told me to give you this. And he handed me a box and it said stun gun. But I thought when I opened it, it would have crystals inside, because everyone knows I love crystal. I thought it was just the box. And I opened it up and it's a freaking stun gun. I said, this is a stun gun. And he goes, yes, Spirit told me that you need this. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not going to ignore that the universe is
Yeah.
telling this guy
To
I
give
need
it.
a stun gun. So now I'm going to start paying attention to my surroundings,
Yeah.
making sure I'm not being followed. So then over the weekend, this other guy, I don't get me wrong, I love getting presents from men. Hopefully it's flowers and chocolate, or I wasn't expecting a
They
stun.
give you what you need. They give you what is necessary.
I know, and I'm like, well, at least I got a stun gun. Maybe it's not a dozen roses, but at least that someone cared enough to do that. And then over the weekend, this other guy gave me a very expensive box of hollow point Hydra shock bullets, so that I would have maximum home security. So I was like, okay. And he's explaining to me how they explode inside of a person. So you only need to shoot them once and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, here's another message from the universe telling me I have to be careful, because someone gave me a stun gun. Another guy gave me a
Some
box
maximum penetration bullets,
of
please.
maximum penetration bullets. And then what really sealed the deal was, yet again, I was watching one of my stupid shows on Discovery ID, and this guy, I think I started talking about, they follow you on the camera. The girl went to Jack's and they followed on camera. They saw this SUV, a burnt orange colored SUV, was following her when they traced all the cameras. And it's, you don't see too many burnt orange SUV. You don't really see too many burnt orange cars. You don't see a lot of orange cars. But this was a burnt orange SUV. It was so distinctive. And this town was so tiny that the police officer would literally cruise the streets hoping to see this burnt orange SUV. This town was so small that the nearest Walmart was 30 miles away. When Walmart's 30 miles away, this is a little dinky rural town. So
Right.
one day he's sitting there and the burnt orange SUV goes by. And so, of course, he pulls the guy over and he brings him in, and they're asking him, where were you on whatever day it was, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I was at the Walmart 30 miles away. So they go to Walmart and they look at him on film and they're watching him in the store, but they see that he's stalking this blonde woman. He's following her all throughout the store, but then she hooks up with a guy and he walks away. And then they figure when he went to the gas station at Jack's and he saw this other blonde lady, he went after her and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he got arrested and so forth and so on. Well, the next day I'm at Dunkin' Donuts getting my little tiny shot of, I only have a little caffeine and the rest decaf. And I'm sitting at the window waiting for my coffee, and I look in the rearview mirror, and a burnt orange
Orange.
SUV,
Oh my goodness.
like the one that was on the show, pulled up behind me. And I said, okay, it is time to really pay attention. So I'm not going to say, oh, that was just a coincidence that burnt orange SUV came. Oh, that was just a coincidence that I got a stun gun and a box of bullets. These are
Nope.
not coincidences. And so I'm on high alert now, watching for everything. But I know that a lot of women, they don't do that. they'll just like, oh, well, this, oh, we'll just, oh, you're going to be fine. Or even worse, they're friends. Oh, you're just freaking yourself out. You didn't really hear someone under your window last night. It was probably just a squirrel or a dog. If you thought there was someone under your window last night and you heard the leaves rustling and stuff, take that seriously. But I want to know why we don't pay attention. The only thing I could come up with was that maybe we have to go through that experience because that experience has something to teach us. That's one of the lessons we had to learn in this lifetime. So maybe our common sense does go out the window sometimes when we get these warnings. But I've watched enough of these shows and have heard enough people, enough women especially, regretting that they didn't pay attention, or their family members regretting that they did not give credence to what their loved one was saying. When they said, I feel like someone's watching me, or I feel like, I'm in trouble, or I'm in danger. That was another show, and the sister was like, you're just freaking yourself out. What is wrong with you? There's nothing wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And she did end up getting attacked by this guy that was stalking her, that she felt something was wrong, but nobody believed her. So I want to hear, the only thing I can come up with is that maybe if we ignore our intuition and we go through a bad time, maybe we were supposed to learn something from that. And so we had to go through it in order to learn a very valuable soul lesson. And I'm trying to rationalize because everything has to be rational and logical to me. But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it's a combination. I think it might be a combination of all those things. Learning the lesson, because you have to, in our logical minds, we have to say there's a reason for everything. We had to learn this lesson and things like that because that's what we want to rationalize. As to, I don't know, but it's a hard thing to say because I remember when my husband passed away and it was just me and the boys, I became that woman that trained on everything, martial arts, guns, weapons of all different types. And I had a utility belt with all these things that I had saying, just come. And wants to come, I'm ready for you.
Right.
And, because it felt like I needed to be prepared to defend myself and my kids, but to defend and protect. And maybe that's a lesson I had to learn. Who knows? But for whatever reason, Spirit told me to be prepared to defend yourself. And that's what I did.
I'm sorry for this.
It is still very much like that. Despite my whatever people may consider disabilities, I'm still very much like that in the sense nothing's happened in the sense of where all these years, but I try not to not be aware. I think a lot of times many of you are walking the streets and you sense or feel as if someone's either watching you or not too far from you, and you look around and there's nothing there or no one there. I think you need to be more aware of what's around you and don't ignore, despite what, some people do. It's hard to answer that because we don't know what the mindset is and the situations with each person.
Right.
Because like you said, the majority of people that I have counseled with abuse situations and things like that have said, I saw some signs, but I ignored it. And I thought, I was wrong and things like that. And that happens with both males and females.
Mm-hmm.
That neighbor of yours with the guy who was big and solid and strong and the 5-foot woman, he had signs. He just ignored it, going, she's just a little woman. Everybody rationalizes in their situation based on what the situation is. He went with, oh, she's just a little thing. It's really nothing. I must be wrong, But that little thing became that terror for him. Same thing goes with males that, abuse women or men on different things, It's we rationalize sometimes a bit too much in our heads with things.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes us ignore what in a way is not rational, or you know what I mean? And we second guess ourselves. And the minute you second guess yourself, usually that's the second step is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same as when we um you know that test that you take for as a psychic to know how what your abilities are.
Sure.
The first answer that came to you, even when we do readings, the first thing that pops in your head is usually the correct one. When
Right.
you second guess it or you're looking at the person, as readers, we have a tendency to look at the person and feel bad for them and not want to tell them certain things, and we rationalize it, all those things. And really, we should just be, this is what's being said. It's
Actually,
hard
I
to
do
hard
that.
to be that way sometimes. It's hard to be that way sometimes because we feel like we're hurting the person.
I disagree. I don't have any problem with. I
No,
think it's important.
you don't, and I
Our,
don't. But I know a lot of readers that do not. I do know, and I'm sure you know them, some of them too.
yeah,
They
they
do
don't like to.
not tell, they do not have, they have a hard time because they're like, I didn't, and they will tell me afterwards. And I'd be like, well, why didn't you tell them something? Give them something. And they're like, because I didn't want to hurt them or make them, maybe I'm wrong. They second guess themselves
Yeah, well, then
with
they
it,
shouldn't be doing readings then.
you know?
You should, if you're not going to be truthful, it is a disservice to your client if you are untruthful and don't tell them everything, even though it hurts and it's painful. Of course, you can offer resolutions, you can offer magical therapies to help them out of it or whatever it is, but the truth needs to be told. You
Yeah,
cannot
you're
help someone
you're right.
by not telling them the truth. They came to you for an answer.
Yeah.
You have to tell them the truth, period. You have to.
I
Otherwise,
remember,
it's a service.
um, and some of it, the truth hurts because I remember telling a client once, because a lot of them I just forget as I do the readings, you know what I mean? But this one stayed with me because it just felt like relationships she treated as a means, as a step up financially, not as a love relationship.
Mhm.
And when I saw some things, I just simply told her, you have to stop using these relationships as a means to step up and search for what you really want from the heart. And she was very hurt by that because of the way I said it, I guess. How dare you? I am not like that. I'm not looking to, but I'm like, but that's what I'm seeing right here.
Mhm.
And this is what you've done. One relationship after the other, but whatever. And I remember her being very upset and leaving. And a couple of months later, finally sending me an email and saying, I apologize. You were right about this. This is what happened. But at the time, she was very upset, because not all the things that you have to say is what they want to hear, such as life.
Whether you want to hear, you came to me for.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to say, oh well, you know what, your life is just jacked up. It's you might as well
Yeah,
just throw in the towel. I'm not going to present it like that. I'm going to present it in a way that I'm hoping you understand, but I'm also going
yeah,
to
palatable. Yeah,
resolutions
yeah,
to go along with it because
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand not
But if they
everybody
don't want to
has
listen to
strength.
all of those things, you can try to be as nice as possible with it and be rational with them, and they just not willing to take it because they don't want to hear they were either in the wrong, or they don't want to hear that they were the ones that caused whatever it is, because they are not ready to accept that.
They're not ready to accept it. I have a trick that I do when I tell someone something and they deny it and they don't want to hear it. I will circle 3 times. I had a client who came to see me and she wanted to know what was going on with her relationship and blah, blah, blah. And I pulled a card that said that there was trouble in the relationship. The relationship was not doing well. And I said, it looks like you guys are having some problems in your relationship. Oh, no, we're perfect. We're fine. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. So I talked about some other things and I circled again. And I said, I want to talk about this card again because you're saying your relationship is great. But typically when I pull this card, there's something going on within the relationship, that there's trouble, that we might need to address that. Oh, no, no, no. We're just great. He loves me. I love him. We're soulmates. I hate when people say that.
I
We're
know. That is
soulmates,
annoying. That is so
blah,
annoying.
blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. Talked about some other stuff she wanted to talk about last time. Circle again. I said, one last time, I just wanted to bring up this card here because, typically it does mean there's something wrong with the relationship, and you came to ask me about your relationship. Just want to make sure I'm covering all bases with you. And she goes, oh no, it's our relationship is great. I just came back from visiting him in Boston or wherever he was. I don't remember. He was saying Boston. I just came back from visiting him in Boston and blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, does he live in Boston? Yeah. So it's a long distance relationship then. Yeah, he's a baseball player, and he's going to be moving to wherever team that is, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's a long distance relationship. And, I could see where that would be a problem. And she goes, well, I have to make a decision. Am I going to move with him, or am I going to do my own business? And then here come the tears. And we've been fighting all week about it, and blah, 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 blah. And we don't know, blah, blah. I said, I wanted to say we could have saved a lot of time here if you just
I know. Just get to it.
I didn't say that because I have to deal with her coping skills. So if I circle, usually the third time I circle is when they break and they're willing to admit whatever is going on, because then I can help you. I can't help you if you go into denial. But if I go 3 times and you're still in denial, I leave it alone, because that tells me your coping skills are not ready to hear what I have to say. I don't want to cause you to have a nervous breakdown or anything like that. I don't want to push you into believing something you're not ready to believe yet. So I let it go. But I typically find that my third round is when they will break. They'll crack and admit what's going on. But anyway, let's take a look in our chat room so that we can see what our beautiful chat. Oh boy, we've got a lot of comments in here today. Okay, now I've got to just find where we're still. Okay, we did the 9-inch nails. We did the song. Bear with me. Okay, Beyonce, we talked about her. Okay, wait, here's somebody. Jay Key says, a lot of us ignore our intuition to be nice or to keep the peace. Like he was talking about the psychics that don't want to just come out and say, what the story is. And, I do feel that if you don't, I feel like you do a disservice to your client if you're just telling them what they want to hear. That does not help them.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be found out that you're wrong when the truth comes out anyway. And then you're not going to get referrals because they say, oh, she lied to me. So, it's if you think of your future business, it's not going to help that either. Let's see. Peggy says, I've ignored my intuition about a person at work. That person ended up being a stalker. I can dig it. Jasmine Moonglow says, I've had that poo-pooing a heads up to not show up to work, and she showed up and she made a mistake and got fired. If she's saying if she stayed home, that wouldn't have happened. I can totally get that. Let's see. And she goes on to say that she's a temp and she finds it hard to take time off because she needs the money. I understand that. I do. I understand. Sometimes that's actually a good point. I'm glad you said that, because people will often ignore their intuition if that thing is providing them with something they feel
they need. Yeah.
And so they'll poo-poo it and oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
They'll deny it, whatever else they have to do.
To do it. Judy says, I listen to my gut. The opposite is if positive. I know my decision is true because my feelings are opposite and positive. You should go with your feelings. Peggy says, I don't always listen to it, get busy, but I regret it later. See, that's when I'm not paying attention, that's when the universe sends me people to give me stun guns and bullets because I'm not paying attention.
They find a way around it.
Yeah, they figure out a way to get my attention. Jakey says, when my adrenaline dumps in my stomach, it's my psyche or intuition warning me of something. At least you know what the signs are for yourself. We've got, I'm sorry, this thing is scrolling on me.
That blue arrow.
What a rear ending and causing an accident. Ironically, someone ended up rear ending me on the back roads. I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. Oh, let's see. Jasmine Moonglow says, this girl I met at a hostel called Albuquerque called it Albuquerque because there are a lot of crackheads. Here, actually, our biggest problem isn't crackheads. Our biggest problem at the moment is heroin.
Wow.
I think we have, Albuquerque's not that big, and if I'm not mistaken, we have 5 methadone clinics.
I don't
That's
understand how that came back so big. That used to be one
that's
of
what
the
I didn't get.
70s drug.
Like the
And I don't
60s.
understand why, with all the knowledge we have and education that we have these days, why between smoking and heroin, all those things are back, like
I
back
don't
big time.
yeah,
I'm just like, what? How? How did we not learn our lessons with it?
that's what I don't understand. Heroin was something from the 60s and the 70s.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, how is it back?
I don't
And then I
understand.
found out it's never left.
I guess it never left, but now it's a
Yeah.
very big
It's
issue, not
pretty
just
predominant, and you're like,
where
how? How?
it's very bad, this whole opioid thing. And what's really sad is I have clients that are used to, they have legitimate issues, but a lot of them, their doctors won't give them like Ativan or other pills because they feel like they're making them junkies. But these are people that have real medical issues and they can't even get it anymore because the medical community is so paranoid because of the problem
Yeah.
that
That
we
they're closing off help that people really need. They're generalizing everything instead of individualizing things.
exactly.
It's a
So
shame.
yeah, that's our biggest problem um, is heroin. And I do want to say, you can follow your intuition, and sometimes things will happen. Anyway, I'll tell you a very quick story that's in retrospect is very funny, but it's really not that, it wasn't funny at the time. And this was back when I was still in the mortgage industry, and my astrologer told me I was going through a Pluto transit, which means I had to be careful. He said, be really careful of stalkers and dangerous people and criminals because you're going to attract them. And I'm like, well, that's just another day for me because I always attract these kinds of people. But I was on my P's and Q's. I paid attention.
Yeah.
I made sure I locked my car doors and did what I was supposed to do. Well, at that time, I was looking for a job, and I got this job at a mortgage company. And unbeknownst to me, I felt comfortable in this place. Unbeknownst to me, the mortgage company shared a parking lot with a parole office, a drug rehab, and a vocational rehab for recently prisoners who just got out of jail. Now, I wasn't so worried so much about the parole office because I figure if you're showing up for your parole, then you're probably trying to do the same thing, trying to do the right thing. I
Yeah.
was extremely concerned with the drug rehab because I had to work
Yeah.
late at
Yeah.
night by
Understandable.
myself a lot. And I don't know if someone's going to relapse. People on drugs are much more, are very dangerous when they can't get their drugs or whatever it is. So here I am doing everything I can to be careful and watch my back. And I take a job that's basically with a parking lot filled with criminals. So I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, and I actually ended up, this was it, the company was in a strip mall, and I would work late every night. And every night the cleaning guy would come in and he'd say hello and we'd chat for a minute, and then he'd go about his business and I would do my stuff, and then he would leave, and I'd finish my work and I would leave. Well, one night he came back into my office and he had this man with him. This was one of the biggest men I've ever seen. His shoulders were so broad, he had to turn sideways to come through the door. That's how broad his shoulders were. And I'm looking up at this guy. He looks through, and I'm sitting down, so to me, he looks like he's 8 feet tall. And I'm looking at this like little short cleaning guy. I'm like, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "What kind of place is this?" And I said, "It's a mortgage bank." And then I wanted to kill myself for saying the word bank, because even though there's no money there, he doesn't know that. I was like, oh my God, I should have said mortgage bank, but whatever. And he goes, "Well, are you guys hiring?" I said, "No, you'll have to come back tomorrow and talk to the office manager. I can't help you." So the guy left, and I looked at the cleaning guy, and he just shrugged his shoulders. And I went back to work, and he went back to finish what he was doing. Well, my company moved to another office building. And as we were packing up, he had come in, and I said, "Hey, thanks for keeping me company at night. I appreciate that." And he goes, "I have to tell you something." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Remember that time I came in the office with that man?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, that guy was already in the building. He was hiding in a room, in our closing room." And he
Oh
said
my
when
God.
he bent over to plug in the vacuum, movement caught his eye, and he looked and he turned on the light, and there was this big giant man hiding in the dark, with the intentions that after the cleaning guy left, he would have been locked in there with me. I would have been locked in
Oh,
there by myself.
wow. Wow.
And so I said, "Why didn't you tell me that?" He goes, "I didn't tell you because I feel like it was my fault. I must have let him in when I was taking out the garbage or something, and he came in, and I was afraid to lose my job." And I said, yeah, but listen, I needed to know that. How do I know this guy didn't follow me home? Or, now he knows where I live,
Yeah.
or what his intentions are. I mean, since we both saw him, he's probably not going to bother me because we can ID him, but still, that was something that I needed to know. So
It's
even though
scary.
I was ultra careful, I listened to what my astrologer said, I watched my back, I end up in a parking lot filled with criminals and get some weirdo whose intentions were probably not good towards me. That thankfully the cleaning guy was there and nothing happened. So you can actually acknowledge your intuition and pay attention, but it still may not stop whatever is going to happen from happening if you're supposed to learn from it.
Wow.
So yeah, we've had some pretty hinky things here.
Close calls.
Close calls. So let's see. We've got Jasmine who says New Jersey isn't any better between Camden, Newark, and Patterson, which is sad. Oh, I'm sorry. What is sad is the capital city of Trenton is ghetto, which is weird. Um, and she says, in the arena of love, I need a neon sign, a big ass neon sign. These are her words, not mine. A big ass neon sign, because when it comes to men, when it comes to love, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And sometimes you do. And there can be issues with your outer planets and things that you're supposed to learn. Some things we're supposed to learn. Sometimes we have to go through the crap in order for us to grow and evolve and learn something. So anyway, there we have that. I am glad that Irishish Christmas tells her 12-year-old to pay attention to her intuition. Good for you. Yes. I'm so glad that you're teaching that to a young girl.
Actually, I like that. I like that. I think we, as the parents and grandparents and fathers and whatever it is, and moms, I think we have to start teaching our kids to listen to their intuition. Literally say to them, because nobody teaches that to people. Nobody does. And I think we need to start going. Part of the teachings that we teach them, listen to your intuition. If something tells you something's wrong, or you feel like something's not right, or you feel like someone makes you feel icky, whatever it is, run. Find the nearest exit, or walk away with people, lots of people, and find your way home as soon as possible, because something is wrong. Listen to your intuition, because people do not teach that. And I think we need to start doing that. Teach them about intuition. It may save lives, because people think of intuition as only a paranormal thing. Yes. And oh, it's so silly. Don't listen to that. Or, it's dismissed a lot. And a lot of times people's intuition are what either saves their lives, or they said, I wish I should have listened.
Yes.
So I think we need to make them, at least teach them to be aware of it, and aware of that funny second sight feeling or whatever it is, and pay attention to it. And if something does not set right with you, walk away, join other people in a crowd, do what's needed to get out of there and get home safely. That the bottom line is get home safe.
Get home safe. Yes. And even if they don't want to teach, because I know that a lot of schools are federally funded and the feds have no interest in hearing about intuition and things like that. But I do think it should teaching children self-defense should be mandatory.
Yeah.
It should be a mandatory class in school to learn basic self-defense. Can you imagine how much that would stop human trafficking, teenagers getting abducted, all these things? If you can break somebody's arm, they're going to leave you alone. And so I do
enough damage that you could run, use those legs of yours and kick ass and run. And because a lot of times you're the smaller one of the two. But if you can do enough damage, gouging or whatever it is, enough that they are hurt for that second, run. Use it as a means to run and scream. Don't stop screaming. Don't stop running. Just run. At least you tried. Because that's all part of it. And people do not teach those things. And you have to start teaching self-sufficiency, being aware, using your intuition. All those things, they are not taught. And they need to be taught. It needs to be something that's part of your training. Maybe more songs about it, because songs teach a lot.
They do. They teach you a lot.
Movies teach a lot. Whether you realize it or not, movies cast spells, songs cast spells, all these different things. Because when you come out of a movie, what depending on what the movie is, you either feel empowered, you feel high on I can kick ass too, or whatever it is, based on what you've seen. People have been doing that for a lot, as long as they've been making movies and songs. So utilize all those things to help yourself, because if we don't start doing it ourselves and being taught how to do that, there are going to be much more damages done, much more death, much more people hurting, much more abuse, much more trafficking. We have to find a way to somehow help ourselves as well, because I hate to say this, but that white knight or that last minute warrior is not going to come in and step to save you.
No, you're on your own, babe.
You're on your own. Or the police. I'm going to call the police, honey. I'm sorry, but the longest time they take to get to you, you could be dead or raped or whatever it is. So you have to find a way to somehow help yourself, whether magically and physically.
Or use your wits. Remember that movie? It was a long time ago, Mahogany, with Diana Ross, and she was walking down.
Yeah. I remember that.
Man came behind her like he was going to assault her, and she turned around and was like, "What? You think you're going to get this for free? We're telling you, you got $100. It's going to cost you $100 to get this. Where's the money? Where's the money?" And the guy was like, "Oh, never mind." he took off, because she wasn't showing fear. She's like, "Oh, you want this? You're going to pay for this. Where's the money? It's $100 right now. Let's have it. Where's the money? Show me the money before you get any of this." And he's like, "Okay."
What she did was fake it till she made it to get away.
Exactly.
You have got to start doing more of that, because even if it's to, I remember, this is a true story. When I used to live in the East Village, this was years ago, and I used to live in a loft in the East Village, and my son was upstairs sleeping, and about 3 or 4 in the morning, I went downstairs to go get some milk for my son for early in the morning. And I remember thinking, well, it's the East Village. There's a lot of people. There are a lot of stores open. It's like daylight time at 3 in the morning and 4 in the morning. And I lived right there in the East Village at Houston and A. And I went downstairs to the store that was downstairs, and I just walked in and I got the stuff. But it was just really weird. As I was in there, I was like, why is the person not at the cash register and all these different things? And I'm looking around, and then it hits me as I notice a guy in the back. I heard a noise, and then a guy stepped to the front at the front door. So now I'm realizing, oh crap, I'm in this store, this deli store, and someone's at the front door blocking me from leaving, and I'm not seeing the cash register person, and I'm in there by myself, and I'm like freaking out. And I think I had my PJs on or something like that. I went into survival mode, because all I could think about was my son upstairs, and I might get hurt or die, and I'd not be able to save my son upstairs by himself. He was like 4 years old. Sleeping. And I went into this acting of where I've never acted in my life so much. I went acting like a crazy and started going, and I started making noises, and like, I want this, I want that, and chucking stuff down, and chucking crazy stuff. I was acting crazy, and even moving my hand around and doing everything I could think of. And then I started going, don't want. And I'm walking towards the door, and he's like, this bitch crazy. And I'm walking, and I'm going, I got out the door, and I went by the wall. As I got outside by the wall, my legs wouldn't move anymore, because at that point I'm going, I made it out. And I'm going, I got out the front door, because I didn't know what I was going to walk into. And as I got outside and I went to the side of the wall, I called the police, and they found them and whatever, but they shot one of the guys in the back. And, I didn't know what I walked. It was obviously a robbery in progress. But basically, I was like crazy drooling, and I did anything I could think of. I'm a crazy person. And he's going, this bitch is crazy. And I walked out that door. And when you get outside, now that you made it out, my legs wasn't moving. I was like, come on, leg, move. We got to move. And I called the cops. But, it's what you got to do is straight up survival. I would not have been able to win with I don't know how many there were. I didn't know anything. All I knew was once I realized it, I became crazy. Crazy in the head. I was drooling. I doing whatever I had to do. I just needed to get out. That's all I know.
And that was
Did.
really good. And
So
even if you're afraid or you can't, I've had this device. My late husband and I, we used to sell at the flea markets in New York and New Jersey. A lot of the flea markets out are gone now, but we used to sell in a lot of the flea markets, and we sold a lot of different kinds of alarms. We sold stun guns, tasers. We had all kinds of stuff that we sold to people, tear gas. And it was usually women who bought them. And I've had this little doodad probably, I would say, for 20 years. And what it is, it used to have a pepper spray attached to it, but the pepper spray expired. But I still keep this. And you can still find these if you look up under a Fortress personal alarm. I think there's still one person who may carry it. And basically, what it is, it's an alarm that's geared to scream for you, because when you're fighting for your life, you may not have the wind to scream because you're fighting and you're using your air this way. So what this little doodad does, what you do is you set the alarm, you turn the alarm on and you put it down, and then you fight. And it'll scream for you. Everybody brace yourself because this is loud. So something like this, you just hit this little yellow button and you put it down because it will scream. It also has a light that flashes that can be seen for like 3 miles flashing. And you put that down and then you fight while this thing is screaming for you. And this thing is so loud that it will probably startle anybody who was coming at you because of the lights flashing and the woman screaming and the alarms going
and
off.
carrying like a gun or something like that. If anything, people hear, they would think that gunshots were being fired. Whatever it is that you have to do, and think about whatever it is you have to do. Go into survival mode. Do whatever you have to do. It's straight up survival. That's what it is. Are you frozen, goddess, or is it me that's frozen? Guys, is it me or goddess Rhonda? Honey, somebody tell me if I feel like it's her or me. I'm not sure who's frozen. Can anybody tell me if it's me that's frozen or goddess Rhonda? Oh, it's Rhonda. Oh dear goddess. Okay, let's. She scared you too with that alarm. Yes, she did. But basically, you were saying, one of you guys was saying that your response time may not help you with the part where you have to press the button. I'll tell you something. When YouTube might sanction her. What honestly speaking, when it's happening to you, like how it happened to me that time in the store, all I could think about and I could fight. I've learned combat training and Muay Thai kickboxing and all these different things, but all I could think about is my son upstairs, and I had to get to him. And I don't know, I think it's the response time in terms of each person kind of respond based on what the situation is. And I think a lot of you might respond in a different way, but in a way that might help you get away had you been in a similar situation that I was in. I think we underestimate ourselves. You'd be surprised what you can and will do to survive. So if you are there and maybe in that situation, maybe you would have done something. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard and not all the time you're able to get away in the sense of preventing that bad thing from happening. But honestly, if you can get out alive, honestly speaking, I think that would be the best thing. I just want to know that you survived, you lived, and can live and talk about it another day. You know what I mean? It may not seem like it when certain things are happening. For me, my survival instinct was strictly my son. I wanted to make sure my son would know I was there. At 4 years old, who knows what would happen to him. and his dad had already passed away. So I'm it. So all I could think about was him upstairs alone and sleeping and waking up and mommy's not there. Mommy's dead or something. So my survival instinct was all my martial arts, all my sword fighting, all my knives. I didn't have any of it with me. And I just couldn't function other than I don't know how many people were there. I didn't know what weapons they had, but apparently I found out later on they had guns, all those things. So I went into survival mode of like, act crazy as a Betsy bug and do whatever I had to do. Saliva drool if I had to, whatever it is. That I am that junkie. I am that whatever I have to be. Whatever movies I've seen, I went into that mode of like, act like I'm that crazy bitch and do whatever I have to do to get out. That's essentially what I was doing. And I think expected in ourselves to be able to do things like that. Are you back, goddess? Oh, good.
Yeah, my computer winked out, but here I am. I managed to get back.
I was just talking and waiting for you to come back.
I think my alarm.
I was talking and wait. You know what Jasmine Goddess said? Jasmine Moon Goddess said that you scared YouTube with that noise and flashing lights.
Yeah, I think that my alarm scared the computer, and it just like because everything after that just froze. And it was too much. So, but anyway, even if you're not in a physical condition where you can fight or feel like you can't, get yourself get something to scream for you, so that as you're running, the alarm is going out, a light is flashing, something that is going to, because criminals, they don't want the attention put on them. Once all this attention and people looking, then they're going to go away. So there is stuff that you can get for yourself. I just realized the time is going on midnight.
Yeah. We have to get.
I didn't realize that. And
I also, really, I have to say to people, maybe in a way it taught me that lesson which I didn't even realize. I think your mic is off or mine again. Let me check. Yeah, mine is off. Okay. Part of the lesson I think for that night was that I learned that I should never be without my equipment or my knives, whatever it is I had, for protection. I walked downstairs going, oh, it's just downstairs. We have to be more aware of ourselves at all times. And just learn to survive. Bottom line is survive. Whatever the attack, just survive, because we want to see you guys the next day.
Absolutely. We want you to survive. That's what we want. And I see that just before we end, because I know it's very late, and
yeah. I wanted to just thank this person for go ahead, sweetie.
Well, Jasmine was saying, what can deter drunk guys? Good news about drunk guys is that they're drunk, which means you can probably outrun them and outmaneuver them. Because when someone's drunk, they're stumbling around. And, if worse comes to worst, as Jay Key suggests, give them a swift kick in the groin and walk away. Because the good news is that they're drunk. And so you should be able to outmaneuver them or outthink them. Or if you have to, hit them upside the head or grab them where it hurts.
Do whatever you have to do. Survival. Honestly, you can't think of their benefit. You have to think of yours.
Exactly.
And the bottom line is, stay the hell down. I am getting away. Exactly. Bottom line.
Exactly. And go ahead, Goddess. So I know you wanted to say something quick about Witch Fest and thank our anonymous donor who was kind enough to contribute.
Yeah. I wanted to, let me quickly mention it because we're really running out of time. We had a donor who was so sweet. It said anonymous, so I have no idea who the person is. They said that they said, hi, Goddess Starr and Rhonda. I wanted to offer my donation to you and Goddess Rhonda for the wonderful work you are doing on YouTube. I couldn't find a physical mailing address for the show, but I saw you had one, so he was very persevered and really persistently wanting to make sure to get a hold of us and thank us, and he sent us a donation, and that was so nice of him. We would never have thought of that, and we wanted to say thank you. He sent it May 3rd, and I just found it in the mailbox June 3rd, so I wanted him to know we did not ignore him and did not acknowledge him. It's just that I literally just got the mail June 3rd. So, but thank you. We wanted to thank you so much for it. We did not know that anyone thought of that. And he's insisting that we should get some donation boxes going. And I'm like, we never thought of that. We never did. We did not. And I just wanted to kind of, quickly about Witches Fest. Please do come on out if you guys can. It's July 14th and 15th, 2 days of street fairs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And lots of live performers. And oh my goodness, the presenters for 2 days is amazing. We've got Goddess Rhonda. We've got Lady Rhea. She wrote the Enchanted Formulary. We've got Big Liz, or Elizabeth Root from Big Liz Conjure. You guys heard a lot about her. We've got Crystal Madison from Sleepy Witch of Hollow, Sleepy Hollow Witch. We've got Eddie Massey, or E. Massey. He's wrote a lot of different books. Christopher Penzak. We've got Dr. Marilisa Maza. We've got Lilith Dorsey, Sharon Day from England. She's with Lilith Dorsey's an author. She's amazing. And we've got Sharon Day from England. She's with Maxine Sanders, and she's actually a personal and Maxine Sanders from England, and she's coming in from England for that. We've got Reverend Donald Lewis. He runs Witch School, and we love having him here. He's been with us from the very beginning. So we've got all these wonderful people. Oh, and myself. And forgot to say myself. I am also teaching as well. We've got Kenya Koviak. She runs, I think, Pagan Business News, right? I believe or publishing. She's amazing. And we've got Greg Sakari from upstate New York. I think he does the Wicked Witch of the North. He is amazing. They're all amazing people, and all have wonderful workshops for you guys all day long. Live performances, live free workshops for 2 full days. Come on out and enjoy. July 14th and 15th. Astro Place. Look on the event page on my Facebook page. I'm going to try to put it in the Witch Times television as well. I keep forgetting to put it there, but it's everywhere as much as possible. Look up Witches Fest USA. A pagan street fair. All right. And if you need to get a hold of us on our website, it's www.witchesfest, WITCHS as in Sam, F as in Frank, EST, USA.org. We'd love to have you guys all there. I would love to meet some of you guys. You guys are awesome in the chat room, and we really appreciate it at all times. Thank you.
And so with that said, of course, we love you to pieces. We wish you an awesome week. We will see you back here again next week. And so, as always, merry meet.
Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. And we can't wait to see you guys next week. Thank you.
We love you, and have an awesome night.
Yes. And I'm going